the new model of the Stealth12 that I got, made by Malibu Kayaks. It has a large tank well back here, scuppers, flush mount rod holders. It is pre-plumbed for a rudder, but I have not run one yet. It comes with a Cracodon seat, and then this is the most telling feature of the Stealth, as the center hatch grouping. You have the two platforms here and there, which are where you place your feet as a standing platform, and then you have the large internal hatch that has the plug here that you can turn into a live well. And then the other feature that is very well known on this boat is the gator hatch up front. So you have the child seat here and then additional bungees, and the hatch opens up and it's actually very, very large for lots of storage. So as you can see, that is a large hatch that you'll be able to get stuff in and out of. So what we're going to do today is start the rigging process. So I'm going to get all of that stuff laid out and give you a look at that. Alright, so laid out, what we are going to do is I'm going to have a gear track on this side and a gear track on this side. I'm going to use the Mad Frog Liberator arm and slide deck and mount the Zuka tube to it, and mount a Zuka tube to another one. And I'm going to lay a track here in the middle, which I'm going to pull my screen for my fish finder up front. Then I'm going to mount on a higher pedestal the Bullwinkle mount, so that I can, when I'm alone fishing tournaments and stuff, I can have my hog trough lay in there and staged, and then I can have rods that'll set out across if I just want to lay them on the deck for when I'm standing. Then I've got an anchor trolley there that I'm gonna put up. I've got an X grip so I can use my Navionics from my phone, and then I've got some miscellaneous odds and ends pieces to make it all happen. And then the final piece that I'll be adding to it will be the Supernova lights and the battery system.
So a problem I ran into with this is my Sharpie would not go all the way in to these holes and mark on the boat where I wanted them. So what I did is I took a sheet of paper and used a pencil to poke those out, and basically made a stencil. And then what I can do is take the sheet of paper and mark on the boat with the Sharpie where each of the holes go. Then I line this up over it, make sure it fits, then drill out the holes. So once you've drilled out the holes, what you get is something like this. So where, see, that'll go right there. What I've done is I've laid a bead of silicone around the hole and in between each, and they'll go in there. What you want to make sure that when you're laying this GT90, this poly track on top, is that you are able to get underneath. So with this boat, I can reach underneath in the side pockets and tighten these down. You can see the finished track, and you need to be able to get something to hold those lock washers on the back, because they come with a washer and a locking nut. So you need to be able to get that washer on there and a locking nut, and it comes with the hex key that fits the heads of each of those bolts. So we just tighten that up and we'll be about done. So one more tip as I'm thinking about it. With this gear track, what I'm doing is I'm putting the screws or bolts, whatever you want to call them, bolts, in first before I lay it in. Number one, to make sure they line up. Number two, on these gear tracks, sometimes they're just a touch tight, and that screw is going to catch in that groove. And so what I
I figured out, this is the third one I've laid. The first one was kind of tight and I had to kind of push them through. I would not have been able to do that really well if they had already been in and the holes would not have lined up. So what I do is I go ahead and put them all in, and then we'll line them up with the hole and make sure they all fit in there, and then we'll tighten them up from there. So we are good. All of our holes lined up, the stencil worked good. Now we're just going to reinforce it. As you can see, I'm utilizing a cup holder to keep all of my parts and pieces together in one place, and try to minimize loss on that. As you can see, we've got our rails mounted on, nice and snug, not going anywhere. So next, we're going to mount the actual pieces that go on them. Okay, so just real quick, this is the Bullwinkle Mountain. It's typically used on like Native Ultimates and Weldy Commanders, that kind of stuff, and it has these 4 brackets, and it's got some U brackets that fit around the pole or whatever. But what I've done instead is I've actually given it a Rudolph nose. This is a T-bolt that screws into the nose, and this is going to attach to a dog bone connector here, and then we're going to connect that to this, which will sit in that track up front, which will sit all the way up on the nose of the boat. So just one more way for it to utilize stuff and not have to necessarily have a commander or a ultimate to be able to utilize this cool tool. And so there is the mount. I haven't quite straightened it out yet, but we'll twist that direction, we'll get it straight, but that'll give me a place to put the hog trough and some rod stages. So much closer to rigged out. I haven't put the anchor trolley on yet, and we don't have lights, but we do have our flag up. We've got our black pack. We have the X grip, and then the Zuka tube to hold the parking pole. Then we've got the depth finder, and the Bullwinkle that's holding the hog trough in its place, and have another Zuka for a quick rod holder, and then the transducer arm which flips down, and that is just about it. Got it rigged out and ready to hit the water soon.